Is it me, or is the fact that the U.S. Treasury reported a budget surplus for the month of June, I think it's a pretty big deal. I think it's a huge deal. In the beginning of something, the beginning of a kind of winning. Americans today, just maybe in our day and age, we're not used to it. I got to point this out to everybody. June saw a surplus of just over $27 billion following a $316 billion deficit that was back in May. Goes on, customs duties totaled about $27 billion for the month, up from $23 billion in May. And then get this, a 301% gain from June of last year. That's incredible. I know there are a lot of other stories to talk about in the news cycle right now. Trust me, we're going to get to that tonight. But first, I want to talk about this. It's been nearly a decade since 2017, during President Trump's first term, that deficit didn't grow. In fact, I'm going to take this a step further. The U.S. has experienced a fiscal year-end budget surplus 4 times only in the last 50 years. Most recently, all the way back in 2001. Honestly, I don't think people reacted to this that much because we're all kind of used to seeing the national debt just continue to get bigger. We don't even know any better. We've been conditioned to think racking up the debt is just the way things are. Nothing you can do about it. Can't change it. It'll be crazy if you do. Well, that was until now. I don't know. It kind of seems like to me that President Trump's plans for the economy, they are working. And yes, maybe the country is going to be rich again. And you know, it had to kill CNBC to write this one down. Increasing tariff collections are helping shore up the government finances. And that has come with no added inflation, which just about all economic experts predicted would happen. They were so wrong on that. I also want to point this out for the people of Pennsylvania. Big announcement for the Keystone State today. President Trump and Senator Dave McCormick, they will use a first-of-its-kind innovation summit in Pennsylvania on Tuesday, tomorrow, to announce $70 billion in AI and energy investments for that state, including thousands of new jobs. Well, everybody, that's my home state, and I honestly cannot remember the last time an investment like that was made in Pennsylvania. Why do you think President Trump won the state? Loss of manufacturing, loss of jobs. That's probably makes sense of why the population there, it's declining rapidly. Pennsylvania's population is estimated to grow by just 1.6% through 2050 compared to 20% population growth nationally. There's not enough good work for people there. Who knows? Maybe that's going to change. The White House calls this the Trump effect. They're keeping tabs on the trillions of dollars of investments that have been made since he announced and got back into the White House. It just seems like a lot of winning to me, but I think that's the kind of winning Americans, you know, again, we're really not used to it. We just had a budget surplus, extra money for the first time in a long time to go ahead and pay off debt, finance infrastructure projects without taking on more debt, or even lowering taxes even further. And you know what? The president, he has hinted on that many times before.
You know, if the tariffs work out, like I think a thing like that could happen, if you want to know the truth. You know, years ago, 1870 to 1913, we didn't have an income tax.
You know, it's kind of reimagining the country, if you want to be honest. That's really what this is, which is why I think the president continues to hammer home this point in just about every interview he does. He wants you to get on board with it. Things are going pretty well right now.
1 year ago, our country was a dead country. We were going nowhere except down. We were the laughing stock all over the world. And now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're number one everywhere, anywhere in the world. And that's all they're talking about is our country.
Now, I know you've all heard him say something like similar to that at some point recently, but I think when it comes to the number one issue, the state of our economy, we're seeing something truly different, and most people, they don't know how to react to it because guess what? You've never seen it before. You've never witnessed a president use tariffs like this. On top of that, they are working. And you've never seen a president willing to challenge the status quo around the world by using them. Most recently, the president did this. He threatened to impose a 30% tariff on imports from Mexico and the European Union starting on August 1st, after weeks of negotiations with the major U.S. trading partners failed to reach a comprehensive trade deal. I don't know. You think they're going to reach a deal? I do. You know who else does? Mexico's president. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said she was sure an agreement can be reached. She went on to say this: I've always said that in these cases, what you have to do is keep a cool head to face any problem. That's what she said in response to this. And more broadly, the jobs numbers. They have trounced expectations for 4 straight months. Gas prices remain at their lowest level in 4 years. Blue-collar wage growth has seen the largest increase in nearly 60 years. Looks like to me, after almost 6 months back in office, things are shaping up pretty well on the economic front. And when it comes to everything else, guys, it's common sense. Executing on common sense. You know, the president spoke earlier today at the White House on the Faith Office Luncheon. He was talking about men competing in women's sports, but it goes beyond that, much bigger, much broader. Higher education gone wild with DEI and woke, trans surgery for kids, that's coming to an end. The list, it goes on, but here's what he said. And you know what? I think it sums up what we were all up against a year ago this time, like the president mentioned.
And they're just a little tiny piece of stuff. She'd go up and she couldn't get it up. And this guy comes along. Have you lifted before? Yes, at a low level. He was a low-level lifter as a man, but transitioned. And he goes up to that thing. Bing, 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 bing. Could have done it all day long. Broke the record by 119 pounds. The whole thing is crazy.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.